Hi, welcome to r/am I the antagonist, where we judge whether a person is in the right or wrong. This is something new, so please tell me in the comments if you like it and want me to continue it. Now on to the first story. Am I the antagonist for helping my child leave home and telling my ex-wife that she's the reason our daughter hates her? My ex-wife and I split about 6 years ago. We have one child together, Sarah, 18. Now, Sarah is a trans woman and came out when she was 14. I'm extremely happy that she felt comfortable enough to be herself, but my ex didn't agree. She was happy when we thought we had a gay son, but she couldn't accept the fact that we actually have a daughter. When we first split, I moved into a crappy 1-bedroom flat in a pretty rough area. I have since moved into a bungalow in a slightly better area. I didn't want Sarah having to come to that area, so she stayed with her mum, and I would visit her, take her out, and phone her every day. My ex was going out of her way to call Sarah he/him, and would use her old name constantly. She even went as far as joking about how it was just her luck that she'd have a tranny for a child. However, though it was absolutely disgusting, Sarah told me it was okay, and at the very least she wasn't in any physical danger. I figured I'd deal with this until I found a better place. I'd offered to let Sarah take my room and I'd sleep on the couch, but she wouldn't hear of it. 2 months ago, Sarah phoned me one night in absolute tears. She had been growing her hair out for ages, and at the rate her hair grows it reaches just below her shoulders. She was thrilled. That night, my ex had offered to give her hair a little trim. She told Sarah it was to just cut off some of the dead ends. Sarah immediately said yes, as this would help tidy her hair up a little bit, and she had thought this was her mum's way of trying to accept her. She wasn't. My ex cut a massive chunk out of her hair, bringing it back to just above her neck. Sarah was absolutely gutted. She had been working so hard to get to that point. When she told me, I saw red. Over the next couple of weeks I helped Sarah move her things into my house while her mum was out. We made sure we had all of her important documents and such, and then I went with her to tell her mum that she was leaving. There was an argument and a few insults thrown, but I got Sarah out, and she's now living with me. We got her hair cut and styled into a pixie cut until it grows back. Last week, my ex posted on Facebook about her depression. She had been talking about how she had never felt so low, and that it was worse that she didn't have anyone at home who could comfort her when she was feeling down. In the comments she mentioned that I brainwashed Sarah into hating her, and that if anything happens to her then it's on myself and Sarah for leaving her by herself. I couldn't help myself and posted a lengthy comment about how it was her fault that our daughter hated her, and that if she had been a better mother then maybe our daughter would still want to be in her life. Needless to say, I've gotten some backlash. Even a few of my friends have said that I was a bit harsh. I don't know what to think here. Edit. Okay. Firstly, I want to say thank you for all the kind and supportive comments, especially in regards to my daughter. I have shown her this thread, and you guys genuinely don't know how happy you have made her. I'm so grateful for that. Secondly, a couple of people have asked about what my Facebook comment said. I figured I'd copy and paste it from a previous comment. Some things have been changed/missed out for privacy reasons, but this is the gist of it. Just want to clarify for everyone reading this post that Sarah is staying with me of her own accord. My ex had her chance to treat her daughter with the respect she deserves, accept and love her for who she is, and make her feel safe in her own home. She has failed in every aspect. My daughter is staying with me because she feels loved, respected, and accepted in my home. I'm not a perfect parent and I'm not claiming to be, but I, at the very least, work hard to make my daughter feel safe and loved, and would never go out of my way to hurt her and make her feel like *T***EX**S name. If you are reading this, you failed our daughter. You made her feel unloved and unwanted in her own home. You made her cry. You made her feel worthless. You are the reason that our daughter hates you. Not me. Not Sarah. You. Maybe if you just tried to be accepting and put even a little bit of effort into being a better mother, then maybe, just maybe, Sarah would still want you in her life. You screwed it up for yourself. That's no one's fault but your own. I'm sorry that you are in a dark place, but don't you dare try to pin this on me or my daughter. As much as I'm grateful to all the kind comments, I also accept that I'm in the wrong for commenting in the first place. My ex used to do this a lot when we were together, making threats when I tried to leave her. I shouldn't have commented, but I let my emotions get the best of me. Also, I have found out that her sister is planning to move in with her for a little while, just in case my ex isn't lying. I know it sounds bad, but I would rather she was lying, as I wouldn't like to see any harm come to her. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Now for the comments. She's trying to do 3 things with these posts: garner sympathy from people, project you and your daughter as the bad people, and manipulate you and your daughter to let your daughter go back to live with her. Next suicide post should be met with a police wellness check. Not the antagonist. She was cruel and abusive towards your daughter. This mother deserves no sympathy. Wish you had gotten your daughter out sooner, but now she's in a good place with a loving, supportive parent. Not the antagonist. Block her. Sarah doesn't need that, and neither do you. That emotional hostage game is just that, a game. Point come here, or who knows what will happen. I'll tell you what will happen: a 72-hour psych lockup. Now for the second story. Am I the antagonist for not letting my brother and his wife come to my wedding after he kicked me out? I'm male, 25, currently live alone and work as a mechanic. Both my parents are deceased. I have an older brother who took me in after my parents' house was taken, and it was absolutely difficult phase. I was working at auto shop and was demanded to pay for food/household stuff for my brother and his wife so I could continue to live with them. I couldn't save enough money to move out, and it got worse. My life turned upside down when I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at the local community hospital. At first, several doctors could not identify the type of cancer I had. Unsure of what to do, I was referred to a specialist, which required me to pay X amount of money. I stopped working because I was too weak. My brother's wife completely ignored what I was going through and started complaining about me being at their house and not helping. She kept trying to turn my brother against me, and he ended up getting into a huge argument with me while I was undergoing chemotherapy for the 2nd month, and I was kicked out by my brother, who claimed my condition was my own problem and he had no obligation to take care of an adult, just his kids. I was a complete mess. A friend of mine took me in. He was confused by my brother's actions and lack of empathy. He had to be treating me like this in my darkest days. Relatives weren't present as much as I hoped for them to be. It was an incredibly difficult phase for me. I was mad and frustrated. This affected my treatment, and my brother only showed up once at the hospital, but gave me nothing. It's been over 2 years now. My fiance lives in another town, currently taking her end of semester exams. We are getting married on January. A relative of mine gave the news to my brother. Clearly he has been asking about me for a while, and he wanted to come to me several times, but I refused to let him. He knew about the wedding and said he and his wife wanted to come. Said he was hurt other people were invited but he wasn't. Pretended that I was being hostile towards him for no reason, and said his wife is the one encouraging him to call me and visit right now. Funny, she did the opposite while I was struggling. I refused to give him an invitation or even have a talk with him because of much heartache that has been caused already. But I was getting criticism for my stance and was told to forgive and forget. I guess my brother didn't know how serious my condition was, as we had this argument while I was beginning my treatment. He actually thought it was okay and that I could handle myself as an adult. He had his own issues and didn't care enough to fix things between us. Instead thought his wife was right about me. Now for the comments. Not the antagonist. Cancer treatment is one of the hardest things you can go through. For your brother's wife to get mad that you aren't helping around the house. Chemo takes everything out of you. And then for your brother to take her side and kick you out. No, absolutely not the asshole. I'm sorry they did that to you, and I do not blame you one bit for not inviting them to your wedding. I've already moved on from them and the way he treated me, like I was a burden on their shoulders. My brother is known to be weak and let others influence him. His wife has an incredible amount of control over him, and he has no problem doing what she says. I have a reason on to believe she had a huge part in driving a wedge between us and caused all those arguments by constantly pouring poison in his ear. My uncle is like your brother and he married someone who is like Yausil. We realized too late, and by that time they had managed to scam my nuclear family out of many properties from the inheritance, break my and my dad's hearts. We were very close, and make the last years of my poor ill grandma absolutely miserable in each and every way they could, withholding grandkids, convince her that many awful things that happened in the family were her fault, etc. She died sad and miserable because of them, no matter how hard me and my dad tried to compensate. Don't let them back into your life. Don't engage in any way. Just try and pretend you never knew them is the best thing you can do for yourself and for everyone close to you. Dude, definitely not the antagonist. Make a very public announcement to your family in whatever way you feel like this. The reason that I'm not inviting X brother and his family to my wedding, and the reason I have gone no contact with them is that they used me purely for money, and that when I got F'ing, I'd suggest using the actual F-bomb here. This Reddit thread doesn't allow cussing for some odd reason. Cancer and had to pay for chemotherapy. They kicked me out onto the streets to be homeless instead of acting like real family would. I have, therefore, seen through their own actions that they obviously do not consider me as family, and since a wedding is normally more of a family event, I will not let them be at mine. Anyone who disagrees with my decision for my wedding is welcome to unfriend me / lose all contact with me / not come to the wedding at all. I empathize with you and hope best for you, but you're putting almost entire blame on his wife, as if he's a child. I'm sure she's an absolute asshole, because no decent person would treat a vulnerable person like that. But please, it's your brother who failed you. It's your brother who walked out. He's the one who shares like 80% of the blame. You can't expect something from a stranger, but he's your brother. Now on to the third story. AITA for yelling at my brother for cheating while he was finally accepting his sexuality. My brother, M30, and me, 38 meters, grew up in a very religious household. My father was all about good Christian family values, and yet, ironically, he cheated my mom all the time and he expected for us to accept it. I hated his guts, but my brother always tried to please him, to have his approval. When he was a teen, we shared a desktop computer and he sometimes forgot to delete his browser history. I noticed he went many gay support sites, so I thought he might be into guys. I never asked because A, it was his choice to tell me when he was ready, and B, I didn't care. He was my brother and I love him. I understood why he would keep it quiet though. If he came out when we were living with our father, I knew *TO would hit the fan. Years passed and he didn't came out, even after losing contact with our dad. I thought that maybe he was just exploring his sexuality back then, or he was bi, or whatever, because he got a GF and married her 5 years ago. This girl, let's call her Julie, is an angel. She got along with everyone, and she became fast friends with my wife, who sees her as her little sister of sorts. I owe her a lot, because she was instrumental into making my wife accept she needed help after going through a terrible postpartum depression. Fast forward to this week. Julie call us sobbing and tell us my brother is cheating on her and that his lover is a male friend of his from work. This has been going on since 3 years ago or so. I went ballistic and I called him. I told him he was doing the same thing to Julie as our father did to our mom. My brother then tells me he was struggling with accepting he was gay all this time and that I should be more understanding. He accused me then. I was so mad because he was gay and implied I was low-key discriminating him. I told him that cheating is cheating and that Julie doesn't deserve this. We haven't talked in days and I'm starting to feel guilty. Maybe I should have been more tactful? I don't know. I just feel that cheating doesn't have a free pass at all. Update. I sent him a lengthy email talking about how I suspected he was gay all this time and that I was sorry he felt he couldn't trust me. I explained to him I didn't care about his sexual orientation and that if I was mad, it because he cheated, nothing else. I told him I thought that his behavior toward Julie was reprehensible, not his preferences. I said he needed to apologize and the responsible of his actions. Maybe go to counseling with her so she could get closure. I don't know. Whatever he can do some good to her, it will be the right thing to do at this point, not the antagonist. My uncle did this to my aunt. Once they separated, he moved his boyfriend into the house they were still sharing because my uncle's spending had made them land rich and money poor. My uncle is an asshole. Not because he's gay, but because he cheated on his wife for years instead of filing for divorce, and expected everyone to be cool with it, because he was finally embracing his sexuality. Everybody else is calling it cheating, but in my opinion, it's much more deceitful. Op's brother was not only unfaithful to his wife for years, but he also lied about his sexuality for many more. He dated and married or continued being married to a woman knowing he is not interested in her, and even if she would suspect infidelity, she'd never really be able to pinpoint it without questioning her own morality. The only way this is equivalent to cheating is if Op's brother was bisexual and his wife knew that. It's such a psycho thing to do, to act as if someone else's whole life, the most important relationship in their life, is just some tool for you to use solely for yourself. I can't imagine how devastating it would be to find out your life partner was never actually in love with you and was just using you. Especially these days, there's no excuse for it. Just because your dad might be a terrible person who will reject you if he finds out you're gay, or if your career might not have been as good back in the day when the public was shittier about homosexuality, it doesn't give you the right to hijack someone else's life and emotions in order to keep up a facade for your own benefit, and it certainly isn't noble in any way. Yes, it is really awful that people find themselves in these situations where they feel they have to be closeted due to bigotry, but it doesn't justify putting other people in terrible, devastating situations too. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please tell me in the comments if you want to see more of this subreddit. Have an amazing day.